remember once my parishioner said, you know, the preacher, usually they always play a preacher in the South. It doesn't matter what you are, you're a preacher. He says, preacher, he says, usually I like your sermons, he says, but today you started meddling. I was kind of stepping on his toes. This text, you know, when Jesus starts talking about stuff like this, it gets to meddling. You know, wait a minute, I work hard for my money. You know, I'm the one putting in the effort. Why don't you get a little pleasure out of it? The fifth part of living a fruitful life is generous giving. It's a part that sometimes is tough for us because, well, it's just not the way we're taught in our culture. Did you hear that one scurrilous line? Let me borrow that a minute, man. There's one really just outright outrageous line in here. Life is not defined by what you have. Who says? Well, in this case, Jesus said it, but everything our culture teaches us is that life is certainly defined by what you have. By the kind of house you live in, by the kind of car you drive, by the kind of furniture you have. I don't know about you. I mean, we could just, you know, go to garage sales and Salvation Army and buy all the furniture for the house, but we don't do that. I suppose we could. You know, I like a nice couch to sit on as much as the next guy. Where does it end? Where does it start? What is Jesus talking about here? Just how far does he expect us to go? And that guy that started Methodism, he's no help. Wesley said, make all you can, save all you can, so you can give all you can. And he gave most of his money away. Most of it. Not 10%. Most of it. He did get married late in life, and he was never home. That may have been something, I don't know. I'm not sure she was thrilled with the fact that he gave over half of his earnings away. It's hard to buy groceries when you do that. But then he was on horseback most of the time anyway, so who knows what he was eating. But certainly, Jesus did not expect us to give half of what we earn to others. Even though Wesley kind of expected that. At least of himself, if not of his members of the societies. I know when I was younger, I would, you know, get my paycheck and pay all my bills, and then if I had a little bit left, I could put that in the offering plate. And that seemed to work pretty good for me. It didn't work too good for the church I was attending probably, but it worked okay for me. And after an especially aspiring talk and being a little ashamed, I decided that I would try this person's challenge of writing the church check first for a tithe, 10% of what my paycheck was, and then try to live on the rest. That was tough at first. What I realized after a while is that my needs were still getting taken care of. In fact, other funds would come out of the blue sometimes to help with things I needed. And I discovered that even on family leave, living with my daughter in a 1970s model single wide and living on $1,400 a month, I could still write a check to the church. I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we survived, but we did. Across the country, United Methodists average about 2.5% of their income and their giving. So if we could get to 4, we'd be real happy. We'd have all kinds of money we wouldn't know what to do with. We'd find ways to use it, I'm sure. The thing is that all we have is God's. And what we try to do here as a community of faith is be in ministry to the needy in the community around us. And to be able to feed kids on the weekends. This is going to put us close to feeding 20, Barb?
Well, 12.
Well, this part of it, but
Right.
we have other funds
Yeah.
that, yeah. That's amazing. That the group of us can choose to come together and feed kids. We don't even know their names, but we feed them because they're hungry. And we feed them because we know that when they come back to school on Monday, it's better if they had something to eat over the weekend. That's a wonderful thing. Every day, well, Tuesday through Friday, we have people come in to get food at the food pantry. It doesn't a week go by that I don't have 4 or 5 people come into my office that want funds for other things, and I explain to them that we have limited resources and we use that to buy food. We don't help with rent and electric bills and gas, and a little bit with gas, but there's only so much you can do. Wouldn't it be neat if we had so much money we just could just give it away every day? Well, we won't ever have that, so don't worry about it. What we give, what we're able to give, and some are able to do better than others. What we're able to give helps us be in ministry to people. It gives us a worship experience. It gives us programs that we run. It gives us Bible school. It gives us things for kids and youth. And, it's not all about the air conditioning, although that's nice too, isn't it? Yeah. I believe that people give funds to a church to be used. Does that make sense? And our job as administrative council, as trustees, is to use those funds wisely and get the most out of the resources we have to help people in our community and to provide a place and for people to meet and programs for people to be a part of. That's what we use it for. The more we have come in, the more of those kind of things we can do, obviously. It's always a little interesting to be in a position where you live on the kindness of others. And as a pastor, I've done that for about 25 years now. If everyone quit coming and quit giving, the conference is not going to pay me. And yet, we all live on the kindness of God. Everything we have is provided by the Lord. We get invented with it. We create things as well. But especially in a community like this, where a lot of our well-being depends on whether or not we have fruit and corn and wheat and all kinds of other things to harvest. We know how important it is, the Lord's work. I don't like talking about money. When people ask me, always when I was singing and even for weddings and things like that, they say, how much you charge? Just, whatever you want to pay. Because those kind of things bother me, and so I'm a little uncomfortable this morning, but once in a while we have to talk about it. And we are amazed. Our giving is up considerably from last year. We're still ahead of expenses. We're behind budget, but then we got the budget higher too. So, but giving is up, and there's a real sense that the decisions that we're making, the things that we're doing, are being supported by the community faith. And that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling to know that we can dream about doing even more. When we started the backpack program, we were happy to be able to fund 6, right? 5?
5?
5.
Mm-hmm.
And we're hoping to get to 20. We ended up with 12 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And looks like we'll have funding for at least that many and maybe more to start this year. That's fantastic news. That's not tearing down the barns and making bigger barns so we can store more funds. That's using the resources that we're given to do the work that we're called to do. Sometimes it's hard to put direct relation between the needs and what's available, but understand that everything we do is to try to be in ministry to those around us and to provide a place for people to come for their ministries as well, for all the groups that use this building all the time. It's exciting. It took a little getting used to for me. I drive by and there are cars in the parking lot. And in 20 years of ministry, when there were cars in the parking lot, I was supposed to be there. And, I drive there, we're coming back, and, I'm going, what? The parking lot's full. Quick, check the calendar. What meeting have I missed? I'm supposed to be there. That's been an adjustment over a couple of years to know that there's stuff going on here all the time that doesn't have anything to do with me. Sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with the church. It's somebody's birthday party or somebody's, there's stuff going on all the time. And that's wonderful. And we're able to provide that. As we go forward, we're going to be, certainly through the Vital Church process, we're taking a very close look at our buildings and facilities and what we need to go into the future. And we know that as culture changes and as we change, if nothing else changed, we know that at some point in the future, we're going to need not to have to go down to the basement for fellowship, because all of us are going to be on walkers. And we won't all be able to fit in the elevator. No, not at the same time. It'll take 20 minutes just to get us down there. So eventually, we're going to have to be able to just shuffle out the door here and go to some place where we don't have to go down the steps. Plus, we know that if we want other folks and young people to come, the ground floor is kind of where it's at. So, we're going to have to do something. We're not sure what yet, but having your generosity makes it possible for us to think about things like that and dream about things like that and plan for things like that. And that means all the world to administrative council and the finance committee and the trustees to know that they can dream dreams and make plans and think big thoughts and hope for great ministries. I always tell the finance chair that my job is to spend every dime we got, and their job is to keep me from doing it. So, I'm always pushing. Dave and I have had this kind. I'm always pushing us to, do more ministry, and you always need that voice that says, "You still got to pay the bills, so don't spend it all." And that's a good tension to have always. So that we don't get caught just building barns to store our stuff in. And if we are, hopefully we're on the side of ministry, mission, people. Because that's really what it's all about. That's why we're here. So think about your giving. We're coming into that time of year again. If there's a way you can make it more, make it more. If there's a way, circumstances change and you have to make it less, make it less. It'll all work out. It all goes back to that first week, receiving God's love, trusting God to take care of you when you take care of His church. It's amazing, but it works. Let's pray. Lord, you are so generous. This morning we celebrate your giving yourself to us in bread and cup. All you ask is that we give what we can back so that your work gets done. Sometimes we give that in funds, and sometimes we give that in time and labor and service. Sometimes we give that in teaching or serving on a committee or being part of a mission team. There's so many ways we can give back to you, Lord. Inspire us. That we might, as Wesley said, make all we can, save all we can, and give all we can. So that your work gets done in this town, in this parish, in Coloma, Waterloo, Pawpaw Lake, Hagershire. That your work gets done.